Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks on a 4-nation tour of Europe, heading to Germany first, will gauge the mood of Europe after Brexit and China's Silk Road initiative. Kashmir separatists force a second day of shutdown across the valley, protesting against the killing of Hizbul terrorists. Mobile and internet services remain suspended. Sports Minister Vijay Goyal warns against any plans for an India-Pakistan bilateral series as BCCI and PCB officials meet in Dubai. Says no series with Pakistan possible until Islamabad stops harboring terrorists. And North Korea fires a missile into Japanese waters. Tokyo protests strongly and condemns the launch but confirms there was no damage. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on his way to Berlin, the first stop of his 6-day visit to Europe. While his visit to Germany, France, Russia and Spain are important economically, the Prime Minister will also be gauging the mood of the European nations after Brexit and any possible realignment in balance of power. Here's a curtain raiser.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi departed for Berlin on Monday morning, where he will hold bilateral meetings with Chancellor Angela Merkel and German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier. During a private dinner and summit-level intergovernmental talks with Merkel, Modi is expected to discuss new areas of cooperation in economy and trade, the situation in Asia, and also Germany's response to China's One Belt, One Road initiative.
We see how best we can also see to bring their convening strength. How do we look at strengthening our partnership? On the global partnership, we have our two countries are closely engaged on several global issues of common concern, including expansion of the UN Security Council, how we deal with terrorism worldwide, and also of other issues of importance in the multilateral arena.
After Germany, Prime Minister Modi will move to Spain. This will be the first visit to the country by an Indian Prime Minister in almost 3 decades. He will call on King Felipe VI and hold talks with President Mariano Rajoy. In addition to talks on economy and trade, both the countries will dwell upon international issues of mutual interest, including international terrorism.
Discussions with Spain will not be limited to bilateral issues. We'll be discussing global issues of common concern. Terrorism, of course, and terrorism cooperation on counterterrorism will be an important element of that agenda.
In what will be the most important visit of the tour, Modi will then head to St. Petersburg in Russia from the 31st of May to the 2nd of June for the 18th India-Russia Annual Summit. Modi will hold summit-level talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, which will include issues ranging from relations with Pakistan and China and enhancement of trade and economy.
So it's less than a year that the President and Prime Minister will be meeting again in St. Petersburg. The fact that the summit is happening in St. Petersburg, along with the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, reconfirms the point that there's an emphasis in enhancing, strengthening trade and economic relations. Because we all know that India-Russia relations in the area of defense, nuclear, and space is already very, very ahead. In the area of trade and economy, there are efforts made. The trade had reached up to $10 billion, but it has come down for a variety of reasons, hovering around $7 billion. Investment itself has done a great job last year, particularly reaching almost the target which was set by the leaders of the two countries, that is $30 billion by 2025.
In the last leg of the tour, the Prime Minister will visit France from the 2nd to the 3rd of June for an official meeting with the newly elected French President Emmanuel Macron. The two leaders will discuss UN Security Council reforms and India's permanent membership in it, cooperation in counter-terrorism, climate change and International Solar Alliance. After Brexit and OBOR, all eyes are on what Modi will manage to achieve with the heavyweight European nations during this crucial tour. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat right now is our correspondent Akhilesh Suman. Well, Akhilesh, as far as the Prime Minister's 6-day, 4-country European visit is concerned, what's on the agenda really?
Frank, if you see the whole scenario at this point of time, when we are confronting Pakistan by every day, and also with China, there are statements and counter statements every day on the question of either it is on the question of Dalai Lama, or it is on the question of NSG, or now it is question of OBO or CPEC. So, and terrorism with Pakistan. So, you know that this is a situation when Prime Minister is going to meet the four heavyweights of the European region. And you know that we have Russia as an all-weather friend, but this friendship feels somehow there is some problems sometimes comes as far as the understanding of the world affairs are concerned, and Russia has been seemingly going close to China and also Pakistan sometimes or the other. So India is sometimes in a confusion that what type of relationship can we have with Russia, given the fact that we have very strong defense ties and also we have very strong civil nuclear ties with Russians. So it is going to be in a way that very conclusive talks between President Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi as how we have to develop this relationship further so that the dynamism in economy comes and also a strategic convergence can be created in this point of time. And given the fact that France has new president now, and with the earlier president, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had very good relationship, you can say, very good understanding of the world issues. I think the new president will also try to create some sort of synergy with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because after Brexit, you see all the European countries are eyeing India in a way that India is one of the biggest market after. And you can understand that Brexit after Britain is feeling the pinch that how its trade will grow. So India is very important. India was never so important for Europe as it is now. And this is the way that Prime Minister is trying to go and see that what they have to offer actually. Frank.
Indeed, of course, terrorism, China and Pakistan could be high on the agenda. But also, let's not forget that all these countries that Prime Minister Modi will be visiting have got some strong economic ties as well. So that's something that Prime Minister Modi is going to try and enhance with each one of these countries as far as how to improve the economic ties between India and these four countries.
Naturally, these are the countries which knows that every nuts and bolts of economy, the manufacturing, you know, make in India, skill development, you know, Germany is one of the major partners of India in Europe, and you can see that largest partner of India in Europe. So we have so deep ties with Germany as far as science and technology is concerned. And all these countries are in the renewable energy sector. They are doing very well in renewable energy sector. And once we have launched the International Solar Alliance, these countries are going to be very important, Frank. And I'm telling you that the Make in India dream that Prime Minister Narendra Modi espouses still is not successful. And in any way, he is going to clear some doubts so that these countries might be having that investment is quite secure in India. And also these countries may have some apprehension about the domestic situation. Sometimes some issues occur, sometimes other issues occur. And this is the way that when I talk to diplomats of the European countries, they feel sometimes very hurt that whether India will be a stable society or not. So Prime Minister has to assure them that India has its domestic politics, but as far as the economy and the governance is concerned, India is a very stable country and it is safe for investment in long-term basis. Frank.
All right, Akhilesh Suman, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us there with all those details. Well, moving on. Now, Kashmir was shut down for the second day on Monday after separatist leaders gave a call to protest the killing of Hizbul terrorists on Saturday. 8 militants, including Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Sabzar Ahmad Bhatt, were killed in separate encounters on Saturday. The shutdown was observed in Srinagar and its adjoining areas. Shops, business establishments and educational institutions remained closed and public transport remained off roads. Meanwhile, curfew-like restrictions remained in force in parts of the valley. The restrictions have been imposed by authorities to maintain law and order. Meanwhile, the NIA questioned 3 Kashmiri separatists in connection with a case related to the funding of terror activities in Jammu and Kashmir. According to reports, the probe agency asked the separatists to bring bank and property documents besides other papers. The case is based on a sting operation in which a separatist confessed to receiving money from Pakistan-based terror groups through Hawala channels. Ahead of the GST rollout in July, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has reiterated that the new GST bill will help the country to become a more tax-compliant society. Speaking at a seminar in Bangalore, Jaitley added that the new tax reform will simplify the process of filing indirect taxes and will act as a deterrent for evaders. Finance Minister also said that GST will broaden its revenue base and cut compliance costs for companies, and that the union of various indirect taxes under GST in one price will be a monumental taxation challenge and will bring greater accountability to the system. Jaitley was speaking after inaugurating the new campus of the National Academy of Customs Indirect Taxes and Narcotics, which will train officers of Central Board of Excise and Customs, besides officers of VAT Department in the new GST regime.
It certainly will be a more efficient tax. And one of the important changes an efficient tax can bring about is that not only does it check evasion, it also helps in evolving India from becoming a more tax-compliant society.
The Kerala government on Monday said that it will hold an all-party meet to discuss the newly imposed cow slaughter law across the country. Kerala Agriculture Minister V.S. Sunil Kumar has said that if the need arises, the state government would bring in a law to counter the centre's ban on sale of cattle for slaughter. There have been widespread protests across the state against the new cow slaughter law. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi protesting against the order. Kerala Congress is observing a black day today to protest against the ban, but it has suspended 3 workers of its youth wing for killing a cow in public during protests on Saturday. The Environment Ministry had last week banned the sale of cows and buffaloes for slaughter through animal markets. Objections to the centre's order have also come from Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu.
I mean, nobody can dictate to anybody what they should eat and what they should not eat. I mean, it's not only Delhi, Nagpur, need not come from anywhere. And particularly if it comes from a political persuasion, then it is worse because there is a political agenda. Now, does the Prime Minister now realize what is happening in the country? It is the worst generation of jobs in your industrial sector.
Really irrational notification, illogical notification. It is not in accordance to the constitution of our country. It is an assault on the fundamental rights of the people of this country, citizens of this country. And government cannot assume powers to dictate what people should eat or should not eat.
Well, BJP's key ally in Maharashtra, the Shiv Sena, has once again hit out at the NDA government, questioning its achievements in 3 years of governance. In an editorial in the party mouthpiece Samna, the party said that the NDA has only inaugurated and renamed the project started by the previous UPA government, and nothing new, barring demonetization, has been achieved in its 3 years in office. The Shiv Sena mouthpiece also criticized the note ban decision, saying that the common people and farmers were the worst hit by it. It also said that the decision led to heavy job cuts in industry and markets. Samna also hit out at the RBI over note ban, questioning its authority to destroy hard-earned money of the farmers. Here's a roundup of the newsmaking news across the country and nationwide. The CBI on Monday took former RJD MP Mohammad Shahabuddin into custody for questioning in an ongoing investigation over the murder, of Bihar journalist Rajya Ranjan. 5 persons have been arrested in connection with the case so far. Shahabuddin is currently lodged in Tihar jail in the national capital. The Supreme Court has provided relief to several liquor manufacturers of Bihar by extending the time limit for disposing old stocks till the 31st of July. Earlier on May 21st, the Apex Court had refused to extend license of 4 liquor companies in the state. Earlier, the extension time was till May 31st. After heavy rain, Bengaluru experienced a chemical snowfall even as the rain provided much needed relief from the summer heat. It has created new problems for those living near the city's lakes. The heavy rainfall has resulted in Vartur Lake foaming again. The toxic foam spilled onto the roads, creating a dangerous commute. A Delhi court extended the judicial custody of ousted AIADMK leader TTV Dinakaran till June 12. Dinakaran is accused of trying to bribe an EC official in a bid to retain the two leaves symbol of the AIADMK. The Delhi police also asserted that more arrests are likely to be made in the case soon. The Art of Living on Monday objected to the report filed by the National Green Tribunal on the damage to the Yamuna River due to their event on its banks. The AOL alleged that the reports were filed without any evidence. The case has been adjourned till July 12. The tribunal asked the AOL to conclude their arguments on July 13th. Time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Sports Minister Vijay Goyal on Monday ruled out any possibility of bilateral cricket match between India and Pakistan in the near future. This comes ahead of a meeting between BCCI and Pakistan Cricket Board officials in Dubai. Addressing the media on Monday, Vijay Goyal said that India cannot play any bilateral series with its northern neighbour as long as terror emanates from Pakistan. He further added that both terrorism and cricket cannot go hand in hand. Sports Minister also added that Indian cricket body must talk to its government before proceeding with any proposal for any series with the neighbouring country. Over the last couple of years, there have been multiple efforts from cricket boards of both countries to organize a cricket series between India and Pakistan, but political not allowed it.
पाकिस्तान के साथ जो भी मैचेस होंगे, मैं समझता हूं बीसीसीआई को पहले सरकार से बात करने के बाद ही किसी तरह का प्रस्ताव या प्रपोजल देनी चाहिए। मैंने पहले ही क्लियर किया था कि बायलैटरल जो हैं पाकिस्तान के साथ बहुत मुश्किल होंगे, क्योंकि आतंकवाद, क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म ये रहते हुए पाकिस्तान के साथ खेल के संबंध नहीं बनाए जा सकते। आतंकवाद और खेल साथ साथ नहीं चलेंगे।
Well, staying on with sports news now, in the French Open, Canadian fifth seed Milos Raonic sailed into the second round with a comprehensive victory over Steve Darcis of Belgium on Monday. Raonic won the first round match 6-3, 6-4, 6-2. Meanwhile, Gilles Simon of France also reached the second round with a 4-set victory over Georgian Nikolaos Basilashvili. In the women's singles, fourth-seeded Garbine Muguruza beat Italian Francesca Schiavone in straight sets to advance to the second round. Muguruza won 6-2, 6-4. Meanwhile, in a shocker, world number 1 Angelique Kerber was knocked out of the French Open by 40th ranked Ekaterina Makarova. Well, here's some more sports news in Sports Beat. India defeated New Zealand by 45 runs by Duckworth Lewis method, in effect after the rain affected practice match on Sunday. Comeback player Mohammad Shami along with Bhuvneshwar Kumar shared the bulk of the spoils to dismiss New Zealand for a meagre 189 in 38.4 overs. In reply, India were 129 for 3 in 26 overs when rain stopped play. India will play Bangladesh in the second practice match on Tuesday. Sebastian Vettel extended his Formula One championship lead over Lewis Hamilton to 25 points after winning the Monaco Grand Prix. His Finnish teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who started on pole, came in second, ensuring a Ferrari won too. Lewis Hamilton finishing 7th for Mercedes after starting 13th. Well, former Atletico Bilbao boss Ernesto Valverde will be appointed as the new head coach of Barcelona. Valverde announced last week that he was leaving Athletic after 4 years in charge. The 53-year-old will replace Luis Enrique, who revealed in March that he would leave the club at the end of his 3-year contract. Barcelona gave Enrique a winning send-off as they beat Alaves 3-1 to win the Copa del Rey on Saturday. Moving on to some international news. Now tensions in the Korean peninsula rose again as North Korea test-fired a missile into Japanese waters on Monday. Both South Korea and Japan strongly condemned the latest test, which was yet again in defiance of UN sanctions. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has vowed action along with other nations to deter Pyongyang's repeated provocations.
North Korea once again provoked its neighbors and the international community as it test-fired a Scud-class missile into Japanese waters on Monday. It was the North's third ballistic missile test in as many weeks and the 12th this year. US military monitors said the short-range missile flew for 6 minutes, while Japan said it fell into the country's exclusive economic zone waters. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe strongly condemned the latest test and said his country will join the United States in taking concrete action against Pyongyang.
警告を無視して挑発を続けていることは断じて許すことは北朝鮮に対して厳重に抗議いたしました。先の G7 で合意した通り、北朝鮮の問題は国際社会の最優先事項です。
It was the second time this year that a North Korean missile fell close to Japan. The latest test, carried out in defiance of UN sanctions warnings and possible US military action, has once again heightened tensions in the Korean peninsula. On Sunday, North Korea had tested a new anti-aircraft weapon supervised by leader Kim Jong-un.
ウォンサン付近から一発の弾道ミサイルを東方向に発射した模様であります。 発射された弾道ミサイルは約 400km 飛翔し、新潟県佐渡島から約 500km。
South Korea too condemned the test as a grave threat and said it was seeing the recent string of missile launches as a direct challenge to the new leadership in the country.
발수는 현재까지 최소 한 발로 평가하고 있으나 구체적인 발수는 분석 중입니다. 우리 정부의 대북 정책 전환을 압박하고자 하는 의도로 분석하고 있습니다.
The recent series of missile launches and Pyongyang's threat to stage its 6th nuclear test have prompted calls for tougher UN sanctions and a warning from Donald Trump. The US president had said last week at the G7 summit that North Korea was a big problem, promising to resolve it. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, search and rescue operations continue in Sri Lanka as the death toll due to floods and landslides rose to 177 on Monday. With more rains expected in the coming days, rescuers are hurrying on to clear the debris from the landslides. Lanka's worst flooding in 14 years has left nearly 500,000 people displaced, with more than 100 still missing. The army has deployed a dozen aircrafts for the evacuations and to carry flood and other essentials to affected areas. Residents in 7 densely populated districts in the south and centre of Sri Lanka have been asked to move away from unstable slopes. Sri Lanka has started receiving international help but has appealed for more. India sent 2 naval ships laden with supplies over the weekend, while the UN said that it would donate water containers and water purification tablets. The World Health Organization also said that it would support medical teams in affected areas. Here's a roundup of the other international news and global buzz. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's son Hussein Nawaz was interrogated by a Supreme Court appointed investigation team in the Panama Papers case in Islamabad on Monday. This was Hussein's second interrogation in 2 days in the high-profile case over the Sharif family's assets. Nawaz Sharif and his family members are facing a probe in alleged money laundering case in the 1990s. Former Prime Minister of Greece and veteran politician Konstantin Mitsotakis passed away on Monday. Mitsotakis, whose political career spanned for more than half a century, was Prime Minister of Greece from 1990 to 1993 and was best known for strengthening ties with the European Union in the 90s. Mitsotakis remained an early proponent of austerity cuts that Greece eventually adopted during the economic crisis. The Philippine army has claimed retaking most of Marawi city from Islamist terrorists amid clashes in which close to 100 people have died. The army intensified operations in Marawi on Sunday, the 6th day since terrorists seized parts of the city in southern Philippines. More than 2,000 residents are reportedly still trapped in the terrorist-held villages. Clashes in the city erupted after terrorists allied to ISIS came out in support of a top terrorist leader. A 23-year-old man was arrested in West Sussex today in connection with the Manchester suicide bombing. Earlier on Sunday, Manchester police also arrested a person in the Old Trafford area. 16 people have been arrested so far, of which 2 were released without any charge. 22 people were killed and 63 injured in the Manchester terror attack last Monday. British Airways began work to clear a backlog of passengers at 2 of Britain's busiest airports after a computer system failure created severe travel disruption starting Saturday. BA said it aimed to operate the majority of services from Heathrow to Gatwick. Heathrow, however, said it expected further delays and cancellations. British Airways cancelled all its flights from Heathrow and Gatwick after a power supply problem disrupted its flight operations worldwide and also hit its call centers and website. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.